amid an ocean that seems motionless, where darkness swallows entire mountains and the seafloor silently continues to shift, what is truly happening beneath? There are places where deep waters conceal movements that have never stopped. There are places where the ground quietly fractures beyond human sight. And if this planet has never truly stood still, what have we missed for thousands of years? Hidden beneath the darkness, the Mariana Trench appears like a gigantic crack within the heart of the planet. It is not only the deepest place ever known, it is also one of the most alien territories on Earth. A place where sunlight has never truly existed. At its deepest point, known as Challenger Deep, even if Mount Everest were dropped into this place, the highest mountain in the world would still disappear completely into the darkness of 11,000 meters. The deeper one descends, the world above begins to disappear. Sound slowly fades away, the last light retreats behind. There is no sky, no sense of the ocean surface, only the immense pressure of the entire ocean compressing everything in silence. But the most frightening thing does not lie in the darkness, nor in the pressure. It lies in the thought that an alien ecosystem has continued to exist here for millions of years. Bioluminescent creatures move silently. Some forms are so strange that they look like something from another planet. Humans have only reached this place through a few rare dives. Ironically, humans understand the surface of the moon more than the world hidden here. At such depth, the Mariana Trench continues to exist silently like a world that has never truly belonged to humanity. Amid the bright waters of the Caribbean, a deep blue circle opens as if the ocean itself had been pierced through. From above, the great blue hole appears almost illogical. Surrounded by turquoise waters and coral reefs full of life. At the center, only a motionless darkness remains. As if the sea were hiding something beneath its surface. But its size is not what makes this place difficult to comprehend. Something more terrifying lies beneath that darkness. Tens of thousands of years ago, this place was once a limestone cave system standing on land. When the ice melted and sea levels rose, that entire world sank beneath the ocean. The deeper one dives, the more the light disappears. Giant stalactites slowly emerge from the darkness. Remnants of a place that once belonged to dry land. Life begins to thin out. Silence begins to take over everything. This is not merely a sinkhole in the middle of the ocean. It is what remains of a vanished world, preserved beneath the water for thousands of years. And even today, amid the bright blue waters of the Caribbean, that dark circular void remains motionless beneath the sea, like a trace left behind by a world that disappeared tens of thousands of years ago. Hidden deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, a scene that seems almost detached from the familiar world silently exists in absolute darkness. Pale white stone towers rise from the ocean floor like the ruins of an ancient city never built by human hands, standing motionless in a place untouched by sunlight. Some structures at Lost City are as tall as multi-story buildings, continuously releasing streams rich in hydrogen and methane from deep within the rock. What makes this place different is that it does not operate in the way people usually imagine hydrothermal vents. No glowing red lava, no violent black plumes of smoke. Instead, slow chemical reactions between ancient rock and seawater have quietly built this entire system over tens of thousands of years. What is even more remarkable is that life still exists around these fissures. In an environment without light, almost isolated from the surface world, microorganisms continue to silently thrive as if Earth always finds a way to sustain life in places few would ever expect. Every year, off the eastern coast of South Africa, the ocean enters a rare movement. Billions of small silver sardines migrate along cold ocean currents, forming living streams beneath the sea in a phenomenon known as the sardine run, one of the largest biological migrations on the planet. From above, the surface of the water seems to constantly change shape. Schools of fish shift direction almost simultaneously, creating swirling ribbons of light beneath the deep blue, reflecting sunlight as if the ocean itself were changing its rhythm of breath. But the sardine run is not only the movement of sardines, it draws in almost the entire predator network of these waters. Dolphins gather in groups to herd the fish into dense bait balls. Sharks and seals emerge from deeper waters, while seabirds circle overhead before diving toward the waves. At times, Bride's whales suddenly surface among the silver currents, swallowing thousands of creatures in a single moment. As the migration dissolves back into the open ocean, what remains is the feeling that nature has always operated on a scale far greater than human perception. Off the coast of Mauritius, the seafloor appears to collapse into darkness. Sand and ocean currents create the illusion of a gigantic underwater waterfall. From above, the ocean's surface resembles a shifting landscape. This phenomenon lies near the Le Morne Peninsula, in the southwest of Mauritius. Ocean currents pull sand along the edge of an underwater plateau, where light blue water quickly transitions into deep blue. From the air, the scene looks as if water is pouring into a vast abyss. Mauritius was formed through ancient volcanic activity. The island sits on a submerged plateau in the Indian Ocean. The seafloor changes rapidly from shallow waters to deeper regions, creating the impression of an enormous drop. But in reality, there is no waterfall beneath the sea. Sand continuously shifts with tides and currents. The shape of the illusion changes depending on light, weather, and the strength of the water flow. Behind this illusion lies a harsher reality. Coral reefs around Mauritius are under pressure from warming seas, coral bleaching, and steadily rising ocean temperatures. Amid the paradise-like waters of Mauritius, the underwater waterfall continues to exist as one of the most surreal phenomena ever seen on Earth, a place where the ocean seems to be doing the impossible. Amid the frozen lava fields of Iceland, a fissure opens like the boundary line of the planet. Silfra Fissure lies between the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates, which are slowly drifting apart. The water is so clear that distance seems to disappear. Silfra is located in Thingvellir National Park, where the surface of the Earth continues to shift slightly every year. Here, people can swim between two continents in a single moment. The dark volcanic rock walls make the fissure resemble a deep cut within the earth. The water in Silfra originates from Icelandic glacial melt and is filtered through volcanic rock for decades. Because of this, the clarity of the water is nearly absolute. In many areas, visibility stretches for hundreds of feet beneath the surface. But this place rarely rises above freezing temperatures. An almost complete silence surrounds the fissure. Only cold blue light, ancient volcanic rock, and the feeling that the planet is still moving remain. Amid the harsh landscapes of Iceland, there exists a fissure like an open wound challenging all logic of nature. It is a place where people can stretch out their arms to touch two continents at once and witness the planet quietly tearing itself apart beneath its icy waters. Beneath the forests of the Yucatan Peninsula, a limestone sinkhole opens deep within the ground of Mexico. Cenote Angelita appears calm from the water's surface. But the deeper one dives, the more the scenery begins to resemble a world detached from the surface of Earth. Sunlight passes through the clear blue water and then quickly disappears with depth. Cold, dark rock walls stretch downward in near total silence, and more than 100 feet below the surface, a strange river appears within the cenote. In reality, it is not a real river. A layer of hydrogen sulfide accumulated between water layers creates a thick white mist, suspended like the surface of a river. Dead tree trunks rising through the cloudy layer make this place resemble the ruins of an ancient forest trapped underground. Amid the forests of Mexico, this place remains hidden deep beneath the earth like a secret nature has never fully revealed. And perhaps the strangest thing about Cenote Angelita is not that underwater river itself, but the feeling that beneath those dark, deep waters, there is still a silent world that humans have only begun to touch a very small part of. Beneath the deep blue waters off the coast of Antikythera Island, an ancient ship has lain motionless for 2 millennia. On the surface of the Mediterranean Sea, everything appears calm. But deep below the dark rocky slopes of the Aegean Sea, an ancient world never truly disappeared. 1900, divers accidentally reached the shipwreck. Amid dark sand and bronze covered with marine growth, ancient statues lay tilted in the cold water, their faces still intact as if sleeping beneath the sea. But the greatest mystery came from a shattered piece of bronze. The Antikythera mechanism. This mechanical device could accurately predict the movements of the moon, the sun, and astronomical events. It was so complex that history could hardly believe it should have existed more than 2,000 years ago. The peak of astonishment came when scientists realized these intricate gears were thousands of years ahead of their time. This is not merely a sunken ship. It is evidence that part of humanity's greatest knowledge disappeared before we had the chance to understand it. Beneath the rocks and sand of Antikythera, the ancient gears still lie motionless, witnessing empires above the sea rise and turn to dust. Beneath the waters off the coast of the Bahamas, massive stone blocks lie arranged as if someone had once built them. From above, Bimini Road looks like the remains of an ancient road swallowed by the sea. Flat stone slabs stretch through pale blue water, too orderly to ignore, too strange to explain easily. Bimini Road was discovered in 1968 near North Bimini Island. Large stone blocks lie connected beneath the water, forming a structure resembling a wall or a road stretching more than 1,500 feet. From the very beginning, this place immediately became the center of controversy. It could be the remains of Atlantis, a legendary city believed to have disappeared beneath the sea thousands of years ago. That idea quickly turned Bimini into one of the ocean's most famous mysteries. But geologists offer another explanation. They argue that this is simply natural limestone fractured over time and shaped by ocean currents. A random structure that causes the human mind to see order where none may actually exist. Perhaps the real mystery does not lie beneath the water, but in the way humans always try to find traces of themselves within things they cannot yet explain. Beneath the calm waters of the Bahamas, stone slabs remain motionless, waiting for an answer, or continuing to keep their own secret. Early morning light quietly spreads across a small saltwater lake hidden among the limestone islands of Palau, where the surface is so still that it seems to preserve a different rhythm of time. Beneath it, millions of golden jellyfish move slowly with the sunlight, drifting through the warm water as if the entire lake were silently breathing. This lake formed after the Ice Age, when sea levels changed and a part of the ocean became isolated from the Pacific for thousands of years. Rather than disappearing, That isolation created an ecosystem almost trapped in time, small in size, yet carrying a feeling of vastness difficult to explain. Each morning, the jellyfish begin their familiar journey, moving with the light in soft currents that quietly drift across the water. What is strange is that through generations of isolation, their sting has weakened to the point that humans can swim among millions of creatures once associated with danger, without the familiar fear of the ocean. Within that near-total silence, people do not merely witness another world, but also feel as if time itself is slowing down around their own bodies. Amid the bright blue waters of the Bahamas, a deep blue circle opens as if the ocean itself had been pierced through. From above, Dean's blue hole appears almost illogical. Turquoise waters suddenly plunge into a motionless darkness, so deep that even light seems to hesitate. Hidden along the shore of Long Island, this is one of the deepest marine sinkholes in the world, descending about 663 feet like a doorway opening directly into ancient limestone depths. What makes this place strange is not only its depth, but the way it alters one's sense of the ocean. A few steps before, the water is shallow and brilliantly lit. A few steps later, only a deep blue void remains, swallowing the horizon of sight. Freedivers often disappear into that darkness in near-total silence, where sound gives way to pressure and the stillness of deep water. And when looking down into that motionless abyss, the clearest feeling is not fear, but the realization that the ocean still holds places deeper than human imagination. Beneath the clear waters off the Yucatan Peninsula, silent human figures standing on the seafloor appear like the ruins of a civilization that has just sunk into oblivion. Light passes through the surface, moving slowly across faces covered in coral and seaweed, giving this place a feeling that is both real and difficult to believe. Hidden beneath the waters near Cancun, Musa, the underwater sculpture museum, contains more than 500 artworks placed deep beneath the ocean as if the sea were quietly reclaiming them. But the strangest thing is that this place was not created solely for human admiration. The sculptures were designed from special materials, becoming surfaces for coral to attach to, while marine life gradually transforms them into a living ecosystem. Over time, the expressionless faces begin to change, covered in the colors of the sea as if nature were rewriting its own artwork. A person swimming silently among these rows of statues does not merely feel as though they are exploring art, but rather as if they are passing through the memory of a world that once existed beneath the water. Perhaps the deepest thing about the ocean is how many dark unknowns still quietly remain beyond human understanding. The journey still lies ahead.